If you understand evolution, you understand that it's a statement about everything in the universe, that there has been cumulative change through time, that the universe has had a history. So cosmology is an evolutionary science. It deals with the evolution of galaxies and with the cosmos as we know it today. The planet Earth, if you were to go back in time, would not be the same in the past as it is now. The planet Earth has changed cumulatively through time, so Earth has evolved. And living things, plants and animals and bacteria and all living things on Earth, have shared common ancestors and have cumulatively changed through time as well. So evolution is really a very broad concept that deals with very basic science and actually undergirds everything that we know about science or everything that we do in science. Astronomy is an evolutionary science, geology is an evolutionary science, biology is an evolutionary science, and if you study human cultures, anthropology is an evolutionary science, because all of these fields of science deal with the idea that history has taken place, that the past is different from the present. Evolution is the idea that the universe has cumulatively changed over time. So the cosmos has changed, galaxies have changed, the planet Earth has changed, and living organisms have changed. So the big idea of evolution is this idea that the whole universe has had a history. Can you imagine science without the theory of evolution? Well, no, because the idea that there has been this cumulative change is such a basic idea in science. It really undergirds all of science. It undergirds the physical sciences, astronomy, physics, chemistry. It undergirds biological sciences and even the social sciences. So no, you really have to have evolution to have science. What is one way that studying evolution has benefited society? Well, there's many more than one way that evolution has benefited society. Maybe the best example is in medicine, and there are many examples in medicine, but one that I find particularly useful is the Pacific yew is an endangered species that happens to produce a chemical called Taxol, which scientists have found is very useful in treating certain kinds of cancers. But it's an endangered species. You don't want to cut down all of these trees. You don't have enough to produce the cancer-fighting chemical in the first place, and you're destroying a species. So what do? Well, the idea of biological evolution is that living things share common ancestors. So what that means is that species are more closely related to some species than to others. So what scientists did is using this evolutionary principle, they looked for the closest relatives of the Pacific yew to see whether those plants also had this cancer-fighting chemical. And indeed, as it happens, there's European yew species that happen to have Taxol as well. So we don't have to cut down all of the Pacific yew in order to fight cancer. We can extract the compound from a close relative. And that is a very good example of how using the principle of biological evolution, of common ancestry, has definitely improved the ability to fight a very difficult disease, and that's clearly a benefit to society. Why should evolution be taught in schools? Well, it's pretty hard to be scientifically literate if you don't understand evolution. I mean, if evolution is relevant to astronomy and geology and biology, how can you possibly leave it out? How can a student possibly be considered scientifically literate? Particularly in the biological sciences, if a student doesn't understand that living things had common ancestors, biology isn't going to make much sense to him. So it's absolutely essential that evolution be taught.